Welcome back, students, parents, teachers. In today's video, we will be looking at the June 2022 Numeracy Test. The time allotted is 40 minutes and there are 30 questions. Before we get to the first question, I just want to say thanks to all my subscribers, all those who leave comments, and those who share this video. I really appreciate all your efforts. All right, so here's question 1. What is the number name for 458? Is it 458, 485, 448, 854? The correct answer is A, 458. Question 2. What is the place value of 8 in the number 6,840? What's the place value of 8 in the number 6,840? Is it ones, tens, hundreds, or thousands? All right, so when we have our place value, just in case you do not remember, we have, I'm going to make a little chart here. This would be the ones column, tens, hundreds, and this would be thousands. So if we should place our number in or on this place value chart, 0, 4, 8, and 6, we see that the 8 is in the hundreds place. So our answer is C. Okay, moving on to question 3. It says, use the information below to answer question 3. Anna is thinking of a 4-digit number. The number has 5 in the ones place, 2 in the tens place, and 8 in the hundreds place. Which number could represent the 4-digit number Anna is thinking of? All right, so what I just did up top with the place value chart, okay. So it's a 4-digit number, so of course, we would need all these spaces. And then it says the 5 is in the ones place, the 2 is in the tens place, and 8 is in the hundreds place. They didn't tell us what the number is for the thousand place, but they asked us which number could represent the 4-digit number Anna is thinking of. All right, so we're going to be looking for a number that has 825 at the end, right? And the only possible answer there would be B, 4,825. So the answer is B. You don't necessarily have to draw the table that I did, but sometimes for some students, they have to see things, in picture form, graphic, they have to draw diagrams and so on, tables to see. So that's what I did. Question 4. The numbers 100 and 300 are shown on the number line. What is the best estimate of the number located at X? Okay, so we're trying to find a number between 100 and 300. Okay, make sure you guys are paying attention to the fact that we're not trying to find a number between 1 and 300. Okay, the halfway mark there would have been 150. We're trying to find a number between 100 and 300, pretty much halfway between 100 and 300. All right, so even if you didn't know what to do, if we were to try to use 50, okay, because remember it would have to be halfway. So if I try to use 50, okay, then the difference between, as a matter of fact, it could have been 50 because 50 is less than 100. So we would not find 50 in the middle of 100 and 300. So that would be incorrect, okay? Next, we try 150. Let me try to erase this first. That's incorrect. Let's try 150. We're trying all the options. Erase it some more. Okay, so let's try 150. Okay, so 150. All right, so the difference between 100 and 150 would be a difference of 50, okay? And then between 150 and 300, that's 150. So we would be saying that the distance from here to here is 50, and then from here to here is 150. And that would not be true because they are equal increments, right, from x. So that would also be incorrect, okay? Let's get to 200. Let's try 200. Okay. What is the difference between 100 and 200? That's a difference of 100. And then what's the difference between 300 and 200? That's also a difference of 100. So we can see that, right? There's an equal distance here of 100. And from here to here, that's another 100. So 200 would be the best estimate, okay? And the answer then is C, 200. 290 would not work either because then it would have been just 10 more to get to 300. And then the difference between 100 and 290 would have been 190. So then you would not have the same on both sides, right? Not an equal distance between the sets of numbers. So the answer is 200. All right, let me make this smaller so we can see all the information at once. All right, so it says the diagram, this is for question 5, the diagram below represents a pizza with 3 different toppings. Use it to answer questions 5 and 6. Okay, so we see the different types of pizza toppings. We have cheese, that's the gray shaded area, then the polka dots, that's pepperoni, and pineapple has that white shade, okay? So what fraction of the pizza is pepperoni? Now we know that in order to find out what the fraction, what our fraction would be, remember a fraction would have a denominator and a numerator, okay? So the denominator represents the total parts. If we count all the parts of the pizza, all the slices, then we have 8. So that would be our denominator. Now the pepperoni, we're going to see how much out of the 8 parts, right, is allotted to pepperoni, and it was 2 out of 8. Okay, so 2 out of the 8 slices would be pepperoni. Now, when we look at our answers, we see 1/8, a quarter, 1/3, and a half. Okay, we don't see anything saying 2/8, but we know 2/8 is 2/8 parts. It's not 1 out of 8 parts, so we can't use that. So what we have to do is now find an equivalent fraction for 2/8. Okay, so how do we do that? And again, this is not really a teaching video, but just for, in case you just need this information right now. What we would try to do then is to find a factor that's common to the numerator and the denominator, right? And divide by that same factor. So what's a factor of 2 and 8 that we could use to divide both so that we're reducing the fraction, right? Trying to find an equivalent fraction. So we're trying to reduce this fraction by the same factor. So I could divide 2 by 2, and whatever number you use to divide it up, right? We're trying to make it equivalent. You also have to do the same to the bottom number, which is the denominator. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So an equivalent fraction for 2/8 is 1/4, right? So 1 out of every 4 parts. That's pretty much the same as saying 2 out of 8 parts. So the answer is B, a quarter. Okay, that's the answer. So a quarter of the pizza is pepperoni. All right, so it says question 6 related to that same diagram. Marsha ate half of the pizza. How many slices did she eat? Okay, so again, we have to find out how many slices were there in all. Okay, and as we did before, we counted, and there are 8 slices. Okay, so there are 8 slices. All right, so all we have to now figure out is how much is half of 8. So we could divide 8 by 2. That gives us a half, right? Right, we divide it into 2. A half is right? When we divide a whole into two parts, we get a half on each side. So 8 divided by 2 would be 4, okay? So 4 out of 8 slices would be a half. So if we were to write that in fraction form, right? 8. How many slices out of 8 would be half? It would have been 4 out of 8. That's half of it, okay? So pretty much we're dividing 8 into two parts, and she ate half, right? So she ate one part of the two. And so the answer would be 4. Okay, 4 slices. That's half of the pizza. Question 7. Make it a little bigger. All right, I was trying to make sure if you guys are using cell phones or whatever device, it's clear enough for all of you to see. All right, so which expression, and remember, of course, you can always turn the device if it's a cell phone, right? You turn it horizontally so that it shows up, on a wider screen and it's easier for you to see. All right, so question 7. Which expression best represents the number of triangles shown below? All right, is it 3 times 4, 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, 3 times 4 times 3 times 4, 4 times 4 times 4? The answer, of course, 3 times 4. Because if we were to go about trying to calculate these, then, of course, how many triangles are there? There's actually 12 triangles. 3 times 4 is 12. If you try to multiply the others, you would not get 12. So the answer is A. All right, question 8 says, look at the set of notes below. Use them to answer questions 8 and 9. What is the value of the set of notes? All right, so we see 4 notes here, each having a value of 500. So each of them is a $500 bill. All right, so what is the value of the set of notes? We could do this in 2 ways. We could add all of them. All right, so we could say 500, 500, 500, 500, and we could add all of them. 0, 0. 5 plus 5 is 10, plus 5, 15, plus 5, that's 20. That's one way to get our answer, or we could have done 500 multiplied by 4. 4 times 0 is 0, 4 times 0 is 0, 4 times 5 is 20. All right, so the answer is D, 2000. All right, let's get to the next question, question 9, which is still related to this picture. It says, Jane changed all the 500 notes to $100 notes only. How many $100 notes does she have now? So for each of those, she's going to be changing them to $100 notes. So for a $500 note, she would get 5 $100 notes, okay? So let's go back to the table. All right, so for this first 500, I'm going to put the number on it. She would have 5 $100 notes, okay? Let me just put 5 times 100. All right, and then for this one, it's also 5 $100 notes. This one is also 5 $100 notes. And this one is also 5 $100 notes. So 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5, that would give us 20, okay? If we were to add them up, it would be 20. So if she changed all the 500 to $100 notes, she would have 20 $100 notes, okay? 5 for each of those $500 bills. All right, question 10. When 47 over 100 is written in decimal form, which place value will the digit 7 represent? Okay, so how do we write 47 over 100 in decimal form, right? So we're going to be dividing 47 by 100. So what we do is, let me just write that in another way, 47, and we're going to be dividing it by 100. All right, so when we're dividing, we're moving to the decimal place to the left. So where we do not visibly see a decimal point in a number, right? This is a whole, it would be at the end, okay? That's where we will place it. And so we're moving. This tells us how many places to the left we're to move. There are 2 zeros there in this number. So we're moving the decimal point 2 places. 1, 2. So it comes here. So this number would now be 0.47. Now they're asking us, what's the place value of the digit 7? Okay. Since I don't have any space at the top, I'm going to be doing it at the bottom. So this would be, this 0 would pretty much be in the ones place. Okay. So the numbers now after the point, we had the tenth, the 8, the th to the value, right? So in the moving this way, then this would be the tenths, and this would be the hundredths, okay? With the th on it. Make sure that's clear, the th on it. So the 7 is in the hundredths place, okay? So the answer is D. Again, I might do a video on some of these topics to explain them further, but this is just, as I said, based on the fact that perhaps you would have done all these topics already. And I'm just, just a refresher and just to help us to go through the questions. All right, but this is not like a full explanation of what you would need to do. Okay, I'll try to do some videos on these topics. All right, so question 11. Ben spent 6/10 of his lunch money. What fraction of his lunch money does he have left? Okay, so pretty much he had, if he spent 6/10, remember that would have been, 10 out of 10. That's the whole, right? One whole thing. Remember, it would have been divided into 10 parts. Because we look at the number at the bottom, the numerator, and that tells, sorry, the denominator, the number at the bottom, that tells us how many parts. So it would have been a total of 10 parts, okay? So he had 10 parts out of 10, and he spent 6 out of the 10 parts, okay? And so that leaves him with 4 out of the 10 parts. So the answer is 4/10. That's C. All right, remember the number, the numerator, sorry, the denominator, that tells us how many total parts. All right, question 12. Examine the pattern below. Which number is missing? So we have 20, 25, 30, 35, blank, 45, 50. It's clear that they're counting by fives, right? So we are going to say 40. That's the missing number. All right, question 13, calculate 826 plus 697. Let's do that quickly. 826 plus 697. I hope I called those numbers correctly, right? So it's 826 plus 697. 6 plus 7, that's 13. The 3 is here, the 1 over here. All right. 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 plus 9, that's 12. 2 is here. And then 1 plus 8 is 9. 9 plus 6, that's 15. Do we see an answer? The answer is C, 1,523. All right, let's make this smaller. All right, so it says the diagram below shows a chart used by a grade 4 class to keep track of the amount of money they collected from fundraising activities. Use the diagram to answer question 14. All right, so it says, what is the best estimate of the money the grade 4 students have collected so far? All right, have to make it a bit smaller. All right, so what is the best estimate? So we know it's past 3,000, right? They have gone past 3,000, so this would not be correct. All right, so would it be 4,000? There's their numbers are come between 4,000 and 3,000, so it would not be 4,000 either. Okay, so we have numbers here that's closer. All right, so where the mark is right here, okay, if we were to write in the numbers for this one, this would be 3,500. Trying to write with, okay, so this, where they are currently is between the 3,000 and the 3,500 mark. So it pretty much looks like halfway between. So I would say it's at 3,000, maybe 3,250. Okay. So my estimate is that the amount of money they've collected so far is 3,250. Okay. Somewhere between 3,000 and 350. It looks about halfway there. All right, so what we want to now know is this number closer to 3,000 or 3,250? Sorry, or 3,000, what's the other option there? 3,300, okay? Is this number closer to 3,000 or 3,300? All right, and based on what I'm seeing, you only need a $50 more to get to 3,300. You actually need to go down 250, right? So the difference between 300 and 250 is actually 250. So the best estimate, they are closest to 3,300. So my answer is B, 3,300. Okay, that's the best estimate of the amount of money they have collected so far. Usually you don't want to overestimate, but that's the closest to, you know, they could round it off to that amount based on the options that are given. All right, so question 15. How many parts of diagram 2 must be shaded in order to make the statement true? All right, so let's look at diagram 1. Diagram 1 has 2 out of 6 shaded. And of course, sorry, that's a mistake. 2 out of 8 shaded, okay? There are 8 parts in all, they have shaded 2. All right, so again, diagram 2 has 8, but we don't know how much we need to shade, right? But we should end up with a total of 6 out of 8 shaded. Okay, so when we add the 2 over 8 plus whatever that number should be, it should give us 6 over 8. All right, so again, 2 plus what gives us 6? We could have subtracted the 2. We could have subtracted 6 over 8 minus 2 over 8, and the answer would be 4 over 8. Again, guys, this is not necessarily a teaching activity, but trying to do this in, you know, the shortest possible time, while just giving you a little bit of an explanation. So the answer would have been 4 over 8. Okay, 2 over 8 plus 4 over 8 gives you 6 over 8. All right, then question 16 says, which unit is most suitable to use when measuring the length of a room? Is it centimeters, kilometers, millimeters, and meters? So you would have to already have an idea of how much these measurements or what these measurements actually look like. So the millimeter would be pretty much one of the smallest units there, then the centimeter, then the meter, then the kilometer. All right, so the millimeter and centimeters for a room, those would be very small, okay? You can use centimeter, millimeters when you're measuring smaller things like maybe your book, right? You could use those measurements to help you with books or, you know, smaller things. All right, for meters, when we talk about rooms and so on, then of course the meter is ideal. For a kilometer, that's, you know, longer distances, like perhaps somebody's running or part the car is traveling, then of course those longer distances, we would use kilometers. But for the length of a room, it would be ideal to use the meter. If you're not sure, make sure you go look at these type of measurements to see what they actually look like and then be able to tell which one would be most appropriate. All right, this question is saying, which container, question 17, which container has the most amount of liquid? All right, so I'm going to show you them one at a time because there's a lot of them. There's 4 actually, but you can't have all at the same time. So we have A, B, C, and D. It's asking us which container has the most. All right, so I'm gonna make it bigger so we can put the numbers in. So for this one, it's 110. Okay, this liquid, this container has 110 milliliters of liquid. All right, this one has 160. So 160 so far, B so far. All right, this has 120 milliliters. And then the final one has 100. It's pretty much, again, halfway between 100 and 200. That's 150. So the container that has what they asked, the most liquid would be container B. Okay, it has 160. So the answer, okay, we have to circle it right here. I thought they'd give you the options store. All right, so this would be the correct answer, B. All right, the temperature of a bowl of soup is 35 degrees Celsius. 30 minutes later, it was 10 degrees cooler. What is the new temperature of the soup? Okay, so 0 would be the freezing point, 100 is the boiling point, and 35 somewhere there. Okay, so if the soup was cooler, would we be moving this way or this way? Okay, remember, we're moving towards it being cooler, so we would have to subtract 10 degrees from 35, right? And that would give us 25 degrees, okay? So when we subtract 10 from this, we end up with 25, okay? So the answer would be 25 degrees Celsius. All right, it's closer to 0. Getting closer to 0 because it is getting cooler. All right. So it says the diagrams below show models of 4 gardens. Each square represents 1 meter square. Use the diagram to answer question 19. Which garden has the largest area? Is it A, B, C, or D? So let's look at the gardens and see which one has the largest area. All right, so since each square represents 1 meter square, right? We wouldn't necessarily have to put numbers in. We can do that, or we can simply count all the squares, okay? So see which one has the most squares, and that will, of course, have the largest area, okay? So we could have done count the squares here, 2, 6, and of course, area is length times width, so 2 times 6, that's 12. But if we counted all the squares, we would still end up with 12, okay? So that's, let me put it in the middle there. So this would be 12 altogether. All right, so again for this one, this side is 3 and this would be 4. So 4 times 3, this is also 12. If you count all the squares, you end up with 12. But remember, area is length times width. All right, so this one is 3, and then this side, that's 6. So 6 times 3, that's 18. If you count all the squares again, it would be 18. Now for this one, we have 6 and 4. 6 times 4 is 24. Count all the squares, you get 24. So which one has the largest area? Garden B with 24. So the answer is B. Of course, they didn't ask you to find the area, but in order to find out which one has the largest area, you would have to make some determination as to what the area is. All right, so let's go to this question. It says, 4 items and their weights are shown below. Use them to answer question 20. So we have a school bag, 7.5 kg, a dictionary, 2.0 kg, a lunchbox, 2.5 kg, and a water bottle, 3.5 kg. It says a shelf can hold no more than 10 kg. Which 2 items, if placed on the shelf at the same time may cause the shelf to break. So it says the shelf can't hold more than 10. So if we add, let me go down to the options first before we go do the calculations. So of course they're asking if it's the lunchbox and the dictionary, the school bag and the, so we want to find what would cause the shelf to break would be measurements. When we combine two items, it would give us more than 10. It's most likely possible to break the shelf if it's more than 10. All right, so if we do these two, then that's not quite 10, right? It's less than 10. It would have been, these two would have been 9.5, less than 10. All right, so if we do, because of course we have to do it with the heaviest one because that one has the heaviest, so we want to see which one would go over. So we have to use the highest measurement here. So 7.5 plus 2.5, that's exactly 10, right? And then 7.5 plus 3.5, that is 11. Okay, you can do the calculations, right? 7.5 and 3.5, 5 and 5. Okay, and then, sorry, that's not 10, 11. 1 plus 7 is 8, 8 plus 3, that's 11, so it would be 11. All right, so 11, right, the water bottle, and so pretty much the two heaviest items, right, when we combine them, so the lunch bag and the water bottle, the lunch, I must be hungry. The school bag and the water bottle, those two combined, right? The school bag and the water bottle combined may cause the shelf to break. The answer is C. All right, question 21. The perimeter of a computer screen is 20 meters. The length of one side of the computer screen is 4 meters. What is the width of the side labeled A? All right, so what is perimeter? It's the distance around, okay, the total distance around an object. So the computer screen, if we measure all the sides going around and add them all up, it should give us 20, but they only gave us a measurement for the length, and it says the length is 4 meters, okay? So, but we know that if we should add up all the 4 sides, because this computer screen has 4 sides, all 4 sides should give us 20. Now, we know that the opposite sides, right, would be equal, so this would also be 4 meters. And then this side down here would be A, okay? So we could write a statement for this, right? So we could say 4, and I'm just 4 plus 4 plus A plus A equals 20. All right, that's one way to do it, right? Or we could have said 2 times 4 plus 2 times A, which is the same as 4 plus 4 or A plus A, right, is equal to 20. So we could add up what we know. So 8, right? 4 plus 4 is 8 plus 2A, because A plus A, that's 2A, right? So 4 plus 2A equals 20. All right, and I think I'm out of space, but 8 plus 2A equals 20. So what we would do then is to subtract 28 from 20. And again, guys, this is not a teaching video. All right, so don't, think I'm just missing steps, but this is what we would, as I said, going off the knowledge that you perhaps would have. This is just a reminder for some of you. All right, so 20 minus 8, I'm using up here now. 20 minus 8 equals 12. So we're saying that 2A equals 12. Again, to get the A, find out what one A is, we're going to be now dividing 2A by 2, dividing both sides by 2. All right, that cancels out the 2's here. And then this gives us 6. So A equals 6. So this side is 6. This side is also 6. So if we should add all 4 sides now, it should give us 26 plus 6 is 12. 12 plus 4, that's 16 plus 4 is 20. All right, so the answer, what's the width of the side labeled A? The answer is 6 meters, okay? And again, I'll try to do some videos with these topics one by one, like a video on perimeter, a video on area, and so on. Hopefully I get the chance to do it over this summer. All right, so make it a bit smaller. It says a diagram below shows a section of a grill. Use the diagram to answer question 22. All right, so we have rod 1 and rod 3 that's labeled on the grill. And then it says which word correctly completes the statement below. Rod 1 and rod 3 represent blank line segment. Is it parallel, perpendicular, intersecting, and slant? All right, so the answer is parallel. Okay, parallel lines, pretty much like an equal sign. They go forever in, the directions, but they never meet. They're never going to meet. So these are parallel lines. They're not going to cross, right? Intersect in any way. They are going to continue in the same directions, on and on and on and on, and never meet. Those are what parallel lines are. All right, question 23. Which diagram can be folded once to result in 2 halves that look exactly the same? Can we fold the hand in any way and then each half remain the same? No. All right, because if we split the hand this way, this half don't look like this half. And if we had split it the other way, one half wouldn't look like the other half anyways. All right, same thing for this. One side won't look like the other. If I split it this way, one side won't look like the other. All right, for this though diagram, if we fold it, all right, if we fold it this way, all right, then one side would look like the other. So the answer is D. Pretty much we're trying to find a line of symmetry where one side mirrors the other side. All right, question 24. What type of angle is formed by the bent arm? All right, so here we have the angle right here. Is it no angle, a right angle, more than a right angle, less than a right angle? So we know that a right angle, or we should know that a right angle would be something like this, okay? And it usually has this, okay? This is usually what we use to determine a right angle. All right, so does this angle look like a right angle? No, it doesn't. For it to be a right angle, then the arm would perhaps have to be pointing up like this, right? The arm would have to be up like that, right? And then this would have been the right angle, okay? But it's not. So this is, and it's not more than a right angle, all right? It's less than a right angle, okay? So the angle that's formed, let me erase what I did before so you don't get confused. I was just showing you what a right angle would look like if the arm was all the way up. Let me erase that. Okay, so the angle that was formed is less than a right angle. That's what I was trying to get at. So the answer is D. All right, a student used matchsticks to form the shape below. Use it to answer question 25. What shape is formed by the matchsticks? A hexagon, a square, a rectangle, a kite, or it is a rectangle, okay? A rectangle has 2 short sides and 2 long sides, okay? So this would be the rectangle. A square, all the sides would be the same length. They would all be equal, so this is a rectangle. All right, question 26. Which item can represent a cube? So what's a cube? Okay, so the cube would have all the faces being squares. That's the difference between what would be considered a cube and a cuboid, okay? So with the cuboid, like this one, okay, so you might be tempted to think this one is a cube. This is a cuboid. It has rectangular faces. All right, so this would not be a cube. This one is the cube, right? You see all the faces are squares. Okay, so the die would be the item that could represent a cube. All right, so the bar graph below shows the height of 6 students. Use the graph to answer questions 27 and 28, almost at the end of the paper. So, yeah. All right, so the Andrew is at the 120, Barry is at 140, Charlie is at 100, Donna is at 180, Eve is at 140, and Fiona is at 160. How tall is Charlie? So here's Charlie. And we'll go across to where Charlie is. And again, like I said, Charlie is 100 centimeters tall. Then it says students have to be more than 140 centimeters tall to be allowed on a water slide. Which 2 students would be allowed on the water slide? So they have to be more than 140. All right, so who measures more than 140? We have Donna, who is at 180, and we have Fiona, who is at 160. Let's see if they have an option here for Donna and Fiona, because they both measure more than 140. Yes, the answer is C, Donna and Fiona. All right, the final 2 questions. Some crayons were placed in a box. 16 crayons were added to what was placed in the box, making a total of 48 crayons. Use this information to answer questions 29 and 30. All right, so question 29 says, which expression represents some crayons were placed in a box? With some crayons were placed in a box, 16 crayons were added to what was placed in the box. So some crayons, that's the unknown, right? We don't know what that is. So it says, so again, they have used N to represent the crayons that we don't know what the number is, right? That were placed in the box. Then 16 crayons were added. So they then added 16 to what was in the box. So the answer is N plus 16. Okay, the answer is D. Now it says how many crayons were in the box before the 16 crayons were included. So we'll go back to the instruction or what the information that was there. It says some crayons were placed in a box, 16 crayons were added to what was placed in the box, making a total of 48. So N plus 16 equals 48. Okay, so how do we now find the number of crayons that were in there before? We would subtract 16, right, from the 48 to see what was the difference. And of course, I don't want to get too technical with you guys, so we're just pretty much going to do 48 minus 16, right? Because N is going to be equal to 48 minus 16, and is equal to, let's do that over here, 48, 16, 2, 3, and is equal to 32. The answer is B. All right, so what we would have done is just simply also we could have subtracted 16 from both sides, right? And that would have gotten rid of this one, and then this would have been 32. Okay, that's another way to look at it. All right, so that's the end of the we are at the end of the paper, guys. If you have not yet done so, just a reminder, please subscribe to this channel. If you're watching this and you're in grade 4, I also have content for grade 5. So when you start your grade 5 exams, and the content is there, so you can also always just go ahead and start looking at that. Grade 5 students, I have content for grade 6, so there's always going to be something for somebody. And like I said, I can always make videos of the different topics. So if you have an issue with a particular topic, just let me know in the comment section and I'll try to do a video specifically for that. area. Okay, and as usual, I will see you in the next video.